And we are live. It's your boy Darnold Jr.
And Michelle DeSille, the Wealth Tattletale. Hello.
Welcome to FinLit Live. And we appreciate you for taking time out to check out our show. Today we have a really exciting topic. Well, a lot of people get stressed out over this subject.
Yes.
And we're talking about health insurance. So we have a guy that's an expert at health insurance. And so if you have any questions, type in the chat. And this guy is near and dear to my heart because he is like a brother to me. We see each other probably 2 to 3 times every week. Yeah. And so I really appreciate him for taking time out. And without any further ado, let's bring on our next guest, Lance Kelly.
Evening, everybody. How y'all doing?
Doing great. It's good to see you, Lance.
Thank you. Good to be seen, Doc. Good to be seen. Brother Kimball, you doing all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking time out your busy schedule to hang out with us.
Absolutely.
Are you kidding? An opportunity to be on FinLit Live? Seriously? I was looking forward to this, man.
That's right. That's right. So how about you introduce yourself? Who are you? Where are you from? What are you up to?
Yeah, absolutely. Lance Kelly, born in Huntsville, live in Houston now. I run my own group insurance brokerage. Been in insurance a while, Let's just go with a while. And my goal is just to help folks. You know, years ago, I noticed that, you know, our folks working hard all their lives don't plan appropriately. They pass away and they're having to do a fish fry to put folks in the ground. That's the wrong answer. That's what initially drove me to insurance, and that's where everything else kind of grew from.
Awesome.
That's very inspirational. Sounds like you're passionate about what you do, so that's important.
And that passion is why we want you to be here to inform our, audience on health insurance. You know, we call this episode Health Insurance 101. It's a subject that, of course, like you said, that runs the stress level up, and people have a lot of questions and then a lot of fears because when people don't have it, So we got some questions for you, and we know that you got answers.
I will do my best, Doc. I will do my absolute best on this, because you're right. It is a topic that causes a bit of a rise in the blood pressure, right? Because just the way our society is set up, that's really kind of one of those things that you have to have, right? So I will do what I can to shed some light on that topic. So there are buckets, right? Fairly large buckets when we're talking about health insurance. On the different types, you got public, private, government. Huge buckets, right? Public, private, government. One example of the government is obviously going to be the marketplace, which I think we're all familiar with, right? Then kind of on the different types of insurance, there are, again, different buckets, but there are about 6 of these. There's an EPO. There's an HMO, PPO, POS, catastrophic, and then all the various iterations of what they call high deductible plans, right? And these all, I guess, serve slightly different purposes, and have slightly different uses. I mean, I can go into kind of just a quick of each one, just to give your listeners a bit of insight on that. But your EPO, exclusive provider organization, EPO, right? It's one of those things where you have to be referred. You have to see the primary provider, and then that individual kind of manages your care, sends you to the specialist, that sort of thing, right? These are, fairly popular plans. The kind of sticky wicket on that particular piece is, some people just want to control, right? If I need to go see somebody for my knee, I don't want to have to go see my primary to be referred to see somebody for my knee, right? You sacrifice a bit of that freedom aspect to be able to go. Now, that said, because the network is limited to you. You can only see providers that are in this network. You get a bit of a cost offset there, so it's not quite as expensive as some of the other options. That's an EPO. Next up is going to be your HMO. We're all familiar with HMO, right?
Mm-hmm.
Health Maintenance Organization. Generally one of the more popular plans. This again, your primary is going to refer you to all your specialists. Everybody, generally, most of your HMOs require you to stay within the network. This is going to be a plan for someone who's going to come into contact with their medical plan more often. Generally, folks with younger kids get sick more often. They bounce off of stuff pretty regularly,
Right.
Or if someone has some sort of pre-existing condition going on, something that maybe needs monitoring, needs monthly maintenance, that sort of thing, they would also look at an HMO for a couple of reasons. Number one, the HMO from a cost perspective usually is going to be a little cheaper than some of the other options out there. I mean, I have a couple of HMOs that have no deductible, right? Which is a lot of fun. And you just the copays to see the doctor are usually pretty low. So the HMO, generally someone who's going to come in contact with their medical plan more often, that's an option that makes a lot of sense for them. Okay. Next up, PPO. We've heard of that, Preferred Provider Organization. The PPO, in my mind, is one of those things where you get a lot more freedom, right? You don't have to be referred. Again, my knee example, you hurt your knee, and you need to go see somebody about your knee. You don't have to be referred.
Yeah.
You can go see that doctor. Hey, doctor, my knee's hurting, help me out. That's a PPO. Generally, with a lot of these PPO options, you have coverage both in the network and out of the network. So the freedom there is you can go see any doctor you want. Now, if that physician, if that doctor, that medical provider is out of the network, you are going to pay a different rate. It probably is in network stuff. But that said, you have coverage for any doctor you want to see, right? And so that's going to allow you that option to be able to go see whoever you want, whatever is bothering you, go see that doctor. The PPO options generally on the spectrum are going to be a little higher priced, right? But it comes down to a question of what is that freedom, that flexibility worth to you, right? That's the PPO. Lots of very popular plans. In I wouldn't even say in spite of the cost, very popular plans. United Healthcare is a big provider in this market space. They do a lot of work with their PPO option. Next up is going to be POS. Point of service, very similar to that PPO option. See any medical provider. The POS is slightly different in that it's going to be a combination of your HMO and your PPO kind of together, right? You can stay in network and pay all those network prices, which is automatically fun. But if you find that one doctor that's not in the network that you got to go see, right? Then you are definitely still covered for going to see that individual. That's the POS, very similar to the PPO. Next up is the catastrophic plan. Okay, now let's say you're like Donald Kimball, super healthy, right? The only time you're going to see the doctor is for that annual physical, and then you're out, right? You're like, hey, I don't need a medical plan, but you've driven on 45, so all it takes is somebody having a bad day to make your day bad. Right? That's the purpose of a catastrophic plan, right? A catastrophic plan is there in case the worst happens. Be it a car accident, be it cancer, whatever your worst is in this box. That's what the catastrophic plan is there to prevent. Generally, they're going to be cheaper because as a catastrophic plan, it has to give you 3 doctor visits, but after that, you don't have any coverage for those. You get 3, again, those checkups that he was having, and then after that, the assumption is, hey, you're healthy. We're not going to see you unless something fairly critical happens. That's a catastrophic plan. Generally, a little cheaper. The challenge with that is those catastrophic plans have a fairly substantial deductible. Right. And the deductible is just the piece that you as the participant pay before the insurance kicks in and starts taking care of their piece. Those catastrophic plans are going to have a little not a little, a much higher deductible before the insurance kicks in and does theirs, right? So it has to be something critical, right? Generally it's, you've had that car accident and there's, a lot of other stuff going on for you to trigger that catastrophic plan, right? And then finally,
Finally.
in that category of the six, there's the high deductible, right? These high deductible plans are just that, fairly substantial deductible before the plan kicks in and covers their piece. But once the plan kicks in, a lot of these plans are going to cover, these high deductible plans are covering it, 80, 90, 100% after you've hit this super high deductible, right? And generally, those high deductible plans are going to be accepted or going to be looked for people a little higher in the income spectrum, right?
Mhm.
Because they can obviously absorb that higher deductible
Right.
with less incident than some of the other folks that may be lower in the income spectrum, right? So those are the kind of the main buckets for insurance categories. Was that too much?
Now, listen, I'm telling you, we got the right guy to answer these questions. That was a lot. Let me go ahead and
Absolutely.
get you a sip of water because you did a whole lot. Okay. Go ahead and get you a sip of water. Now, those are some great insights on those buckets, and those buckets are full, right?
Absolutely. Mhm.
So, even you and I are both in financial services and everything,
Right.
but there's some information there that I was not even
Me
aware
neither.
of, and I hold an insurance license as well. So,
Absolutely.
but let me ask you this: all of that information now, people have something to digest. They know the different types of coverage that you have. And did we lose our Lance?
I'm
Lance?
sorry, can you repeat that?
No, first of all, I need to know where you are. Okay, there you
There
are.
you are.
I
So,
said, you gave all of the information on the different types of plans, 6 of them. We learned some things that we were not aware of. But one of the main questions I want you to touch on is that a lot of times people, they get the insurance and they have concerns about, what determines. I want you to answer the question: what determines health insurance premiums? That's one of the biggest questions people want to know. How do you determine my health premium, my
Yep.
insurance
Great,
premium?
great
Can you
question.
talk about that?
Couple of reasons, or a couple of reasons, couple of things that go into that criteria. There's obviously billions
Hold on,
of
Lance, you're
data
out of
points.
focus a little bit. You're out of focus a little bit. Can you get
Uh-oh,
back in frame? There
sorry.
you are.
yeah. Oh,
There's
did we lose you?
Froze up there a little bit. But while he's adjusting and
did I
everything,
lose you? Okay.
There you are.
there you are. All right, yeah. So the question was, to answer the question for people, how their premiums are determined.
Are going to be, like some areas have higher cancer incidences, things like that, right? Um, what zip code do you live in? How old are you? Right? I got to get a little personal. And then male or female, right? That's it. Now, depending on kind of the level of coverage, it may have to go more in depth than that. Do you have any pre-X, right? What's going on there? But generally, for most of my providers, zip code,
Yeah,
age, gender,
location.
right? And from
Location.
that, they're going to kick me back a rate. They're going to say, okay, doc, this is the age, this is your zip code, this is your gender, this is what you would have to pay for all the plans that they offer. Different plans, different costs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that said, if you're going for a higher coverage plan, a plan that covers more, then the rate for that plan, because obviously the insurance has a higher risk there, is going to be higher. Because in the insurance in the scope of the insurance, there are different levels of plan. They have metallic. There's a platinum, there's a gold, there's a silver, and a bronze. Okay, platinum are covering 90, 100%, right? Whereas Gold plans, usually about 80% they're going to cover, 20% I'm responsible for, and it goes down from there, right? So that's going to be the other criteria. What type of plan are you looking at, right? Because for some people, they're going to say, hey, all I can afford is a bronze plan, right? But I'm pretty healthy, so I should be okay. Whereas some other folks, if you're a big baller like Darnell Kimberly, you're like, no, I gotta have that platinum plan.
Yeah, gotta have.
Yep.
So, one of the things that I was listening for you to say is that one of the determining things also, if you're a smoker or if you're a non-smoker, because that's one of the things that really, really catches people, in a snag when they're trying to get that health insurance. That is a big, big factor.
It is, Doc. And you know what and this is just my experience, so please don't don't extrapolate this to anything beyond my experience. But the I guess instances of people smoking, just in the people I interact with, has gone down quite a bit. I ask that question with every new participant I speak to, and very few. That said, for a couple of reasons, and I think one of those is that your smoking rates are significantly higher, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Smoker versus non-smoker,
right.
that smoker's rates are going to be significantly higher.
Mhm.
So it's been to the point a couple of times where the guy, he was a smoker, he saw his rates and he said, you know what, no, I'm going to go to the smoking cessation class. That was going to be cheaper for him than having to pay the smoker rates.
Nice. Motivation, right?
Yes.
Right,
People don't
right,
make a
right.
change unless they feel some sort of pain.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, let's back it up a little bit more. And for those, like, let's say they're straight out of high school and they don't even know what health insurance is. Let's back it up a little bit more and just go really high level. What exactly is health insurance?
Yep. So health insurance is an option to help you pay for the cost of medical, right?
Right.
You would pay a monthly premium, and that monthly premium would provide you access to a health plan, the health plan of your choosing. That health plan would cover you for just about anything you can encounter under that health umbrella. Generally doctor visits, if you break something, if you need to have x-rays. Those are all the things that the health insurance would provide you coverage for, right? Health insurance is there because very few of us as Americans, based on the way we save, lots of other factors, have $1,500 to go get an x-ray, right? I mean, so something happens today, right? You have to go get an x-ray, you think it's broken. Very few of us have $1,500 to go get an x-ray, whereas that health insurance would cover that for much less than that cost to you, right? Now, somebody somewhere is paying $1,500 for the X-ray, but thankfully it's not you, right?
Right.
And that's the point of health insurance, to kind of dissuade or offset a lot of those costs. Thankfully, health insurance can be deducted from your pay. You're right. Most employers, if they have more than 50 employees, the government incents them fairly strongly to have a medical plan. At 50, the criteria there. Hey, you got to go get a medical for these folks, right? That can be deducted from your paycheck to help again, soften the blow of the cost, and there you have medical for you and your family.
Excellent. And can you speak on what exactly is a deductible? What exactly is a copay? Like, how does
Yeah,
that work
I
with
can.
insurance?
Unfortunately, no, I'm joking. A deductible is the portion that you're responsible for. You, as the insurance user, is responsible for before the insurance kicks in and starts taking care of their piece, right? Normally, well, not normally. I can't speak to normally because it does vary by plan and by provider. But the deductible, and we've seen increases in deductibles every every year that I've been doing health insurance. The deductibles have gone up, much like the premiums, but the deductibles continue to be something that the insurance companies can tap to get a lot of their costs in first before they have to, just a monthly premium. But the deductible is a piece that you pay before the insurance company kicks in and starts paying their 80%, whatever they're contractually obligated to pay. Deductibles vary by the type of plan, right, and the level of coverage. Because, like I was speaking to earlier, I have a lot of HMO plans that don't have a deductible. It's a zero deductible, right? You can participate fully in your plan day one. Whereas some of those high deductible health plans, the deductible can have a comment in it, unfortunately, which obviously none of us like to see. But a $7, $8, $9,000 deductible is not uncommon for those high deductible health plans, right? But that is what a deductible is, the position it holds in the insurance arena. And then on the other side on the other end of that is going to be the copay, right? So after you've met your deductible, generally, the insurance is going to pick up a certain percentage of whatever bill it is, your X-ray, your surgery, so on and so forth. The insurance picks up a certain percentage. The higher the metallic level, the more the insurance is going to pick up. So a platinum plan is going to pay more than a gold plan, which is going to pay more than a silver plan, so on and so forth. The copay is what you are responsible for going to see the doctor, right? That is a negotiated price. So most plans will say your copay to see your primary, $25, your copay to see a specialist, $40. Those are negotiated within the network, in the framework of the network in which you participate, right? So that gives you a bit of a break, because if your doctor visit is $1,200, you would pay, $25, $40, depending on which physician you're going to see. That's what a copay represents. And for just about anything in that medical arena, there are copays. You come into contact with copays a lot of times for prescriptions, right? Be it your standard over-the-counter stuff, special formulary, whatever the case may be, that's going to have a copay. Obviously, your doctor visits are going to have a copay. You may run into copays for some of the other stuff, for your X-rays, for your ultrasounds, all that stuff. But that is a negotiated price for the service that you are receiving.
So riddle me this: is there any health insurance company out there that pays 100% of your doctor's bill right off the bat, without a deductible, without a copay? That's not government.
Not that I have come into contact with. So if I understand your question, you're saying, hey, I pay my monthly premium, right? After that, they're going to take care of everything, right?
Yes.
And I would say not in the plans in which I interact, because most of them,
Come on,
HMOs
man.
aside, right, are going to have deductible, right?
Right.
And then post that point, you still have some responsibility, because even the platinum plans, they're still at a 90-10 ratio, meaning you're responsible for 90, or they're responsible for 90%, and you're responsible for 10. So, even though they pay that 90, you still have a 10% responsibility.
Wow. So
Well,
lame.
you tried. You tried.
I
You
know.
tried.
Well, and honestly, Brother Kimball, I don't know that the monthly premium for a plan that's going to pay everything would generally be manageable, because the premiums, even for like the 90%, are pretty tough, right? You definitely have to think about it and say, do I absolutely have to have this level of metallic plan? For the insurance to just come in and be responsible for everything, that might be a fairly restrictive monthly premium.
There you go. Exciting.
So you mentioned that, you are a broker, right? Can you hear me, Lance?
Yes.
Okay. So you are a broker, you
Yes.
mentioned, yes? Can you
Yes.
then decipher for our audience what's the difference just being an insurance agent and being a broker?
I can, yes. So, an insurance agent, if you do any networking at all, you've met an insurance agent, right? There's some of us everywhere. An insurance agent is going to be responsible for generating business, making those sales, providing you information. If you go a step up from that, generally a couple of steps up from that, The broker is going to be responsible for kind of a macro perspective. I'm responsible for obviously the brokerage, making sure the brokerage is successful, that we're hiring the right people. Also, any new plans that are brought into the brokerage to help my client group, I'm going to be responsible for getting those, making sure everyone is trained, obviously has the appropriate knowledge and can use those and apply those appropriately in the field, right? So a brokerage or a broker per se, and then the brokerage by extension is a much larger subset of what that agent does.
Sounds like a lot of
That's
responsibility,
exactly
doesn't
what I
it?
was thinking.
Yeah.
It
Well,
does.
so then you have to do you have a lot to do. That's a big responsibility, but it seems like you're the man for the job. So I'm quite impressed with you, Lance.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Doc. I do my best, and like I said, and I think Brother Kimball and I are pretty similar on this. Is that our why? What got me into insurance to begin with is to help people,
Yeah.
right? And so that makes it pretty easy, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I My kids like eating every day, so I'm just as happy as the next guy to sell a
You're not
policy.
doing it for free.
Yes.
Right.
And that,
But if I can provide information to where people make better decisions, that is when I feel I've done my job.
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So, how can people get a hold of you if they want to buy health
Absolutely. Yeah,
insurance?
yeah, yeah. My it's business solutions group .com. Our website, my number 281-408-3361. Call me, ask me whatever questions you had. Like I said, my I guess my part-time job is really just insurance agent. My full-time job is to teach and provide information wherever the scenario presents itself, because that's what I feel like my drive, my goal is to do, to educate folks that may not have the knowledge that I do, that I can improve their situation. I had an old HR director years ago. She would always talk about, what is the best you? Are you being the
Mm,
best you? What is your best you? And
Yeah.
I realized that my best me is providing information, helping folks, make better decisions, protect their family. That is my best me.
I love
excellent.
that.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
that's awesome.
That's amazing. I tell you what, you mentioned when we were doing our sound check that you've been answering a lot of questions lately, you know, um, from the people's experience with the pandemic. So can you tell me what has been some of those questions that you've been asked as of late, Lance?
The the question, the top two. I'll give you the top two. The question I
Okay.
get the most: what happens if, or the most recent derivation, am I covered if?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
From a medical perspective, while most of your carriers have been late to kind of responding, I haven't seen anybody who has encountered COVID and not had their full instance covered, regardless of severity.
Yeah.
Right. That's number one. The second one is going to be, because I do a lot of work on the group side. Are my employees covered? Right? What
Mhm.
happens if? What do we do in this scenario? And that's obviously a little more a detailed question, because that comes from people who have medical. That comes from people who don't have anything. So
Yes.
kind of depending on where they are, I would obviously entertain that and provide options to better their situation. But the vast majority have all, I think, for lack of a better term, COVID has kind of put the fear of God into a lot of people,
Yeah.
Mm,
right?
Yeah.
And they're all kind of wondering, or entertaining or pursuing, what do I do if it happens to me? Because and I was sharing this with Darnold. I guess it was late last year. Folks that I couldn't get to call me back were blowing me up now. Lance, where
Mm.
you at? How you been? Well, wait, you didn't return my call in May, and now you. So I would say, again, you never want irrational fears, but I would say that people are responding for the better, to protect themselves, to protect their families,
Yes.
in the scenario that, they are impacted. And the good thing is that, these aren't COVID specific. Whatever your situation is, God forbid you're on 45 and you just happen to catch that one driver on a bad day, obviously you're covered and protected.
Right.
Awesome.
Wow. That's some good insight there, and I'm glad that they're able to get the questions answered through you. So you're absolutely living up to your why, Lance, and we're appreciative of that.
No, I appreciate you guys getting the information out, because again, I struggle because the vast majority is of what I do. The insurance is such a smaller piece. Just the vast majority of what I do is providing information to people. I don't know what happens if I don't have this information, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys allowing me to pass that on through your platform. I think that's super helpful.
Excellent. And now you have a resource where you don't have to keep repeating yourself. You're like, just watch this video
Absolutely.
and then talk to me afterwards.
That's right. Talk to me afterwards. Give me a call if you still have questions.
That's right. That's right. So we appreciate you for coming on and educating everybody, and look forward to partnering with you in the future. Anytime we have people that say, hey, we need health insurance, guess what? Go talk to Lance.
Go talk to Lance.
Absolutely. Brother Kimball, it was a pleasure. Doc, thank you so much. It's always great to see y'all.
Likewise. Yes. Take care, Lance.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Okay. Wow.
I know, right?
I couldn't write fast enough.
I'm
like,
and I'm taking notes too, right? Okay, the platinum, the gold, the silver, the bronze, and the catastrophic plan.
Yes.
I took some good notes over here,
Yes.
writing while I was looking or whatever, But
Absolutely.
Imagine, we're all in the same industry.
Yes.
But
we have our niches.
We have our niches and everything, and it's like, and some of the things he was saying, like, okay, I remember that when I was studying for my exam or whatever, but I have no idea the in-depth detail.
I didn't know either. I just know of HMO and PPO.
I
didn't know
right?
there was like 4 other levels of coverage. So there you go.
It kind of makes you feel so smart if you're in this industry. But hey,
right?
that's the great thing about people specializing
Absolutely.
in certain things. So I'm telling you, I feel real educated tonight.
Yeah, me too. And we really do appreciate Lance for coming on. And so, yeah, reach out to Lance if you have any questions about health insurance in general. And if you need to buy health insurance, talk to Lance also, and he'll hook you up. He's licensed in multiple states, and so he can help you out.
And so, I know, in getting health, coverage and everything, one of my main questions was, is this plan going to make certain that I can see my primary physicians and everything? Because, sometimes it changes all the time, and you want your doctor to be in those in your network.
Absolutely.
And that will be a deciding, no, I don't want this plan, because I want to be able to see my doctor that I've been seeing since I was blah, 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 blah,
Absolutely.
So that's, and also another important question, will this, plan cover, my prescription, what's your prescription drug plan like, and all of that kind of thing. These are really important things that people are, wanting to know, and it will determine, if they get a particular plan or not, because that's important,
Absolutely.
So,
and there's so many different carriers out there. Yeah. So definitely shop around, find out what's best for you and your family.
Yes.
So cool. We appreciate you guys for watching.
Absolutely.
The purpose of this show is to educate people about personal finances. Because growing up, I feel like my parents didn't teach me about how money works. And it's probably because either they were busy or they didn't know themselves, and that's okay. And I went to college, and they still didn't teach on personal finances.
Right.
And
hey, so, we're still trying to get people to put that in the schools,
right? Well, there's progress. You hear about Florida?
Yeah.
They just passed a law where the schools have to teach personal finances now.
Yes. And I mean, and being an educator, before, it's amazing to me that things that, once a kid even gets on a college campus, it's like, you missed that? They didn't do that. They're not doing that. I mean, because I haven't been in high school in a long time.
You don't know how to balance a checkbook.
Like, what? and then that's the thing that with most parents, you take that responsibility. I remember, teaching my children, getting those bank accounts in middle school and teaching them how to do the checks and everything. So that was, my responsibility, because, it's just not something back in the day, and I'm not telling my age, but we had home ec
You're
courses.
25.
You know what? You show, right? We had certain, they taught us how to cook. We had home ec classes, and they were teaching us little things about writing checks and things like that. But a lot of things are lost. They want to take music out of school and all that kind of stuff now. So we have to teach these our community.
Absolutely. So if you feel like you were in the same boat as us, like and subscribe to our YouTube show, because we're going to interview a ton of people from various personal financial backgrounds. And that way we could get our questions answered, and we open it up to you guys where you could get your questions answered also.
But if they wanted to, stay in touch with you, how could they follow you on Instagram?
Yeah, so you can find me at Darnold Jr. And then our FinLit Live, we have a FinLit Live Instagram also. So FinLit Live. So,
yes.
And
you can follow me. I'm Michelle DeSalle, the Wealth Tattletale, and I would love for you to be a part of my community.
Absolutely. So for those that are in retirement age 65 and older, obviously Medicare is a big deal. And so we did a video about Medicare. So definitely go check out that video if you're in that age, because it's still in the health insurance bracket, but for the seniors. So we appreciate you guys for getting lit, and go check out that video about Medicare. It's good.